about boot camps, health and fitness, but we're also talking about what it takes to set up a business. And who knows? You might be in the same position as Alice. You might be thinking about setting up a business, and you might want a few tips about what to do and perhaps what not to do. So, how did you first get the? Well, let me say first of all that you started off, I think, with 2 classes, and you're up to something like 15 classes a week now. So
yeah, probably a lot more than that, actually.
4 years?
Well, it's been full time now for 2 years, so it's actually nearly 2 years to the day since I left my I had a part-time job which I'd been doing for 6 months, and then previous to that I was actually in full-time employment. So
sure, but I mean that's quite steady growth, isn't it?
It is.
So I mean, whatever it is you're doing obviously works. And what at some time you were sort of out there working away. When did the light bulb come on for this?
I mean, it's always been there, and actually, in fact, even when I wasn't in the industry, I think I'd always said by the time I was 35, I was going to be running my own business. And
any business or this business?
No, this business. Personal training. Mainly, which actually I don't really do, mainly because I don't have time for it. But even when I wasn't in the industry, I'd always said that that's what I was going to be doing. In fact, I was a year later because I think I was 36 when I actually went for it.
So was this? I mean, were you a fitness? I mean, did you do it for yourself? Is that why you were interested?
I did, yeah. I mean, when I was at school, I'll be totally honest with you, when I was primary school, loved it, got to secondary school, and I absolutely hated keeping fit. And I think it was the whole thing of being forced to do things that you don't necessarily like and you're not necessarily good at. So totally, throughout my secondary school years, didn't do anything at all. I then went to a sixth form type college and did a couple of years there, and then it was really when I went to university that I started getting back into it.
Right.
And some of my friends have memories of me inviting them round for dinner, and I used to make them do the Jane Fonda workout before I'd actually cook dinner for them. I'm showing my age now, aren't I?
Oh, no, I don't know. Don't talk to me about age.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so crinkly, the bits are falling off. Yeah.
So yeah, I really got back into it then. Left university, went back home and joined a gym, and then sort of really started keeping fit ever sort of since then. Joined a rowing club, so I got into rowing. And then over the years, I've done various different sporting activities.
So I'm always interested about how some people really go for sport and some don't.
Yep.
And you just described how, for part of your life you were really up for it, and then part of your life you weren't up for it at all. How do you, I mean, I think, some people just manage and just get through their whole life without doing any exercise at all. So did you find your friends at university were people who were into this, or were you?
No, not at all. I mean, I think, to be honest with you, I think, like say, I was always quite active as a child. I was always out on my bike. I was always out doing things. But I think the whole secondary school experience, I didn't enjoy secondary school. And I think, I'm the sort of person, if someone's trying to make me
do we want to name names here? Which secondary school didn't you enjoy?
Oh, it wasn't round here, actually.
Oh, okay,
so
right.
I moved away from there, so it's probably not worth mentioning.
Okay.
But no, I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't, I'm sort of person that, as well, if I'm told to do something, if I don't want to do it, then I probably won't do it. And I think it was the whole thing of, you have to do PE at school, you have to do
I can
this.
really relate not doing things that I'm told to do. I can really relate to that.
Exactly. So it was the whole, I suppose, not doing things that I particularly enjoyed doing, like being made to play hockey and being made to do sports that I didn't particularly want to do. So I think I got that, that teenage, I'm not doing that. And say, I think my friends have memories of us walking the 400-metre race when we were at our sports days instead of running it. So I think that, the will was still there, and I would have still enjoyed it, but I think it was that whole situation of like say, being told what to do and being expected to do it rather than wanting to do it off my own back.
A few weeks ago, I did a show around what it is about sports people that very often makes them good at business, and particularly large companies very often employ good sports people who end up in some form of sales function.
Yep.
They're very competitive. They understand that some things are about a bit of a contest, and not everybody thinks like that. So I've always kind of felt there's a sort of fairly strong connection somehow between people who not necessarily excel at sport, but give their all to it. Even if they're not, going to be an Olympic champion or a world champion, but if they're actually going out there and really, giving their best to it, I think that takes a certain type of character, and very often you find those people in business. Yeah,
I definitely agree with you there, and like you say, a lot of companies do employ sports people. I think as well, not only for sales role, but they do a lot of motivational type speaking as well. And And I definitely think you do have to be a certain sort of person to be a sports person, but also to run a business. And I think it's the drive and motivation.
Well, I'm going to ask you why you chose rowing in a minute, because I think rowing is a really interesting sport, and why, and I think it involves an awful lot of self-discipline, and people who row have got I've got sort of ceaseless admiration for them, the ones who really sort of see it out. But we're going to come back to that in a minute. And in the meantime, you've got this guy, Michael Williams?
Yep, Michael Williams. He requested a song earlier. So, Michael, This one is especially for you. I think they've managed to find it for you. So, I hope you are listening.
It's Kung Fu Fighting for Michael Williams, the boot camp man at Hazelmere.
Enjoy.